I'm present.
Vice President Byron Bennett.
Here.
Director Ben Stewart.
Here.
Director Alfred Wallace.
Here.
Recording in progress.
Here. Okay, with the record show that all 5 of the directors are present. You can continue with your roll call, is that?
General Manager Steve Perez.
Here.
Assistant GM Board Secretary Lisa Criddle present. Director of Public Works John Howard. Public Works Manager Brock Smith.
Here.
Legal Counsel John Comer.
Here. Okay, with the record reflect those that were present. At this time, due to the importance of the agenda, we called our meeting to order. The record reflects we called our meeting to order at 5:33 p.m. And due to the importance of the items on the agenda and the fact there may be technical glitches with my location, at this time, I'm going to turn the remainder of the meeting over to the Vice President, Byron Glenn. So, Director Glenn, at this time, you take the meeting and continue from this point forward, please.
All right, we're going to be doing the Pledge of Allegiance next. Those here in the boardroom can say it together, but those of you who are online, whisper to yourselves. Everyone up, please. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'd like to add that we're asking that God that we just pledged to give us wisdom and insight in this meeting. I want to step aside as the president and as the board member. I want to read something that, again, is a quote from my father in the past. American citizens are not privileged to enjoy the so-called American way of life forever without assuming the role of responsible citizenship. We can ill afford to permit responsibilities of citizens to fall into the hands of the untrained. No form of government is perfect, nor can any political or sociological ideology guarantee a utopian existence. This is an elementary truth because all forms of government must be administered by men. All forms of government must be administered by men, and men are flawed. So the government is flawed. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? I'll make the motion. Motion, Director Wallace. Second. Second, Director Wood. Time for public comments. Anyone wishing to speak? This is your...
We need a roll call.
Huh?
Roll call vote.
Oh, we skipped the roll call vote. Roll call vote on the approval of the agenda.
President Rick Webb.
Yes.
Vice President Mary Glennon.
Yes.
Director Ben Stewart.
Yes.
Director Alfred Wallace.
Yes.
Director Greg Wood.
Yes. 5 unanimous. Public comments. Anyone wishing to speak to the board at this particular time? Hearing no responses. Voluntary public roll call via the teleconference. Anyone who's listening in and would like to the public to know that you're there.
John Joyce is here for the Roseman News.
I'm expecting John Joyce to say something, but I don't hear him. All right. Moving on to closed session. Oh, who is it?
Yes. John Joyce is here for the Roseman
John
News.
Joyce is on, has his hand up.
John Joyce.
Good evening, John.
Good meeting.
You sound like you're on Mars.
Wouldn't that be?
Welcome, man. I hope you're enjoying good health, sir.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to go into closed session? We're going in on items both 1 and 2.
So moved. Second, Dr. Stewart.
I've got a motion by Director Wallace, and we'll give Director Stewart the second. Going into closed session at 5:39.
Roll call.
At 6:04, no reportable action. This time I'll call the regular meeting to order. Do we need to go through roll call again? All right. We need a motion to come out of closed session in a second.
So moved. Second by Director Webb.
Got a motion from Director Wood and a second from Director Wallace. Out of closed session at 6:04. Roll call.
President Rick Webb,
Yes.
Vice President Brian Lennon,
Here.
Director Ben Stewart,
Here.
Director Alfred Wallace, Director Greg White.
Yes. All right. No public report of action. We're opening the session at 6:05, regular session. Opportunity for public comments. Anyone online, I guess you need to wave your hand so they recognize you. Whose hand was that? Oh, no hands? Oh, okay. Voluntary public roll call. You said John had his hand up. Oh, John Joyce? Yeah. Go ahead, John.
Okay, yes. I'm here. Calling in from Mars.
Wavelength, I guess.
I guess so.
So we got 2 of you, but that's good. Consent calendar.
God.
Items C1, C2, C3, C4, and C5. Can I get a motion to accept those consent calendar items?
So moved.
Motion by Director Wallace.
Second by Director Webb.
Second by Director Webb. Now at 6:06, we're going to open the public hearing on the annual budget adoption, and roll call vote for the closed session items.
No, roll call vote for consent calendar.
Open the public hearing. Roll call vote.
The roll call vote for consent calendar, President Rick Webb,
Yes.
Vice President Brian Lennon,
Yes.
Director Ben Stewart,
Yes.
Director Alfred Wallace,
Yes.
Director Greg White.
Yes. All right. The public hearing is opened, and we're going to have a brief presentation by staff, and I assume that's Brad who's going to give us the presentation. And we have the approved budget right in front of us if there's any questions that you have.
I was going to make a few comments before Brad, and just to let the board know, so that the last presentation of the budget, as it was a draft when you first saw it, we have gone back, we've added to the budget and brought it back, taken another look at it, and then took another shot at it and removed items. So it's been a labor intensive action by staff Brock, John, Lizette, myself, Brad, or Ben, or Brad, everybody included in putting the budget together. I do have to say that the executive summary says it all, that it basically allocates the necessary resources to accomplish the district's mission and goals. And from that point, I'll turn it over to Brad for further discussion.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Great. Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to present the fiscal year 21-22 operating and capital budgets. This last year, our country and communities experienced what could end up being a once-in-a-lifetime event with the COVID-19 pandemic. As the federal and state governments grappled with how best to handle the ever-changing landscape, local governments, and especially small ones like Rosamond, were left to navigate the complexities alone in a vacuum. Worldwide, many people lost their jobs, and tragically, some even lost their lives. In response to these events, the state of California, in an event to keep its communities safe, put moratoriums on water districts, making the collection of revenues and providing services even more challenging. Under those circumstances, budgeting seemed to be the least of anyone's concerns. Despite these challenges, this board, along with district staff, turned and faced them head-on. Through proactive management of district resources, the prioritization of workloads, and the safety and well-being of each and every member of this community in mind, we pressed on. One of the most recent and challenging decisions this board has had to make was to adopt the new rate study. While the law mandates that organizations such as Rosamond CSD perform a rate study every 5 years, asking the community to step up and pay their fair share during this time was a difficult but necessary action. The water and sewer budgets before you this evening are based primarily on that rate study. The streetlight budgets are based on the engineer's report, which is also before you this evening for consideration and adoption. The remaining budgets are based on the combination of trend analysis of prior year's actual activity and forecasts of future needs. The draft budget presented to you in the briefings a few weeks ago was a deficit budget. This was by design and expected. In an effort to rebuild the reserves while continuing to have sufficient financial resources to carry out the programs and capital projects within the district, the rate study forecasted an approximate operating deficit of $300,000 in fiscal year 21-22. This approach is intended to smooth the impact of the rate increases while simultaneously getting the district's reserves replenished over the 5-year study period. For fiscal year 21-22, the district proposes operating budget revenues of $9,755,590 and operating expenditures of $10,390,532, an increase of 12.5% and 9.6% respectively over the prior year budget, resulting in an overall operating deficit of $634,942. The differences between the draft budget presented to you a few weeks ago and this one are due to the fact that district staff are still awaiting quotes from several vendors that have now been included, in addition to some of the cuts that Steve mentioned earlier. Also before you this evening for consideration and adoption is the capital budget for fiscal year 21-22. Having transitioned to what is known as a pay-go capital budget, the district has included the allocated amount of $2.5 million, with $1.5 million for water projects and another $1 million for sewer projects. Please note, while the total budget includes the total pay-go amount, district staff has identified, through the collaboration with this board, the projects of highest priority. As you will see in the capital budget detail, the water fund is projecting to spend $1.1 million, and the sewer fund is projecting to spend $1,092,000, a difference of positive $393,000 and negative difference of $92,000 respectively between the water and sewer funds. This proposed budget will have the following impacts on reserves. A total increase to the general fund reserve of $116,400. A total decrease to the water fund reserves of $754,188. A total decrease to the sewer fund reserves of $1,484,792. And a total increase to the Lining Landscape District Reserve, $22,715. As a reminder, a budget is a flexible document. It is meant to serve as a roadmap for the expected sources and uses of financial resources over the course of the fiscal year. It is based on the best, most current economic information available at the date of its adoption. But, like any forecast, circumstances can change, and district staff will continue to monitor both the economic and legal landscapes as the pandemic recovery evolves. We will continue to practice conservative fiscal prudence and will keep you informed of actual performance as the fiscal year unfolds. Thank you again for the opportunity to present the fiscal year 21-22 operating and capital budgets. This concludes our presentation, and I would be happy to field any questions that you may have at this time.
Any directors have a question you want to direct at?
I do. This is Director Webb. Brad, first of all, thank you very much for the report, sir.
You're welcome.
I've told you repeatedly, I have a lot of confidence, a lot of respect for your capabilities. I know the challenges you face, so I thank you very much for it. And each and every time you've presented a budget to me, I ask you to make the following request of you. Based on the best numbers you have for us, is this a good budget based on the best information you can provide us with?
Based on the best current and economic and legal environmental data that we have available to us at this time, this is the best budget that we have put together. As Steve said in his opening remarks, we've worked very hard at putting this together to bring it forward. We've had to have some difficult conversations and some positive conversations, but overall, this is a good budget.
Thank you, sir. And the reason I ask it that way, and I was not trying to call you out or put you on the floor, but several weeks ago, when we had another workshop, the community made a lot of comments about, numbers that come in. And like you made the comment, none of this is guaranteed numbers, and we don't know what tomorrow forecasts. But I appreciate the fact that you and the staff give us as directors the best information possible. And one of the things that I want to stand on, that I have good resources that I draw from, and we do the best we can with the information to provide the best for the community. So I not only thank you, but I also thank the staff and you folks working on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
That's all.
Any other directors? I'd like to point out, Brad, the one sentence there that I think the public needs to be aware of. Although the park and park maintenance funds no longer are active, they have been budgeted in fiscal year 2021 and 2022 in order to track and pay applicable principal and interest of the district internal loan. We're still in the process of paying that back, and the community needs to be aware that we're still doing that. Any other comments? All right, we'll move on to receipt by public testimony. If someone from the public wants to wave your hand so we can acknowledge you and get you on the speaker. No hands. All right. It's 6:17, and I'll close the public hearing. And moving on to B, PHB, adopt resolution 2020-24, adopting an annual budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022. Can I get a motion to adopt that resolution?
So moved.
Motion by Director Wood.
All I have. Thank you. Second by Director.
Second by Director Webb. Roll call vote. I finally got it there.
President Rick Webb,
Webb. Yes.
Vice President Mary Lennon,
Yes.
Director Ben Stewart,
Yes.
Director Alfred Wallace,
Yes.
Director Greg Wood.
Yes.
Unanimous. Resolution 2020-24 is adopted. The annual budget for this fiscal year. Public hearing number 2, the lighting district. I'm going to open the public hearing at 6:18. We'll have a brief presentation from Darlene, I guess, or
Darrell.
Darlene.
Hi, my name is Daryl Anzarati, and I'm with NBS. Tonight, we are seeking adoption of a resolution confirming the assessment and ordering the levy for Landscaping and Lighting Assessment District 2 for fiscal year 2021-22. The district was formed in 2005 pursuant to the Landscaping and Lighting Act of 1972. There are 51 zones in the district, and currently 39 are annexed, with assessments involving approximately 3,950 parcels. Revenues from the assessment are utilized for ongoing operation, maintenance, and servicing of street lighting improvements. Every year, the maximum assessment rate is increased by the Consumer Price Index. For fiscal year 21-22, the increase over the prior year was 2.19%. At the May 26, 2021 board meeting, the board of directors approved the resolution of intention and resolution of initiation and resolution of intention as part of the annual process. After public input of today's meeting, the board of directors may adopt the resolution confirming the assessments and ordering the levy of assessments in the district. And that's just a brief overview of the district and the assessments in LLAD2. We did include an engineer's report. So the engineer's report in the agenda would detail the assessments for fiscal year 21-22. And if there are any questions, I can take those. And that's, go ahead.
Any questions from staff? Staff have any comments that they want to make? Steve, anything you want to add?
No, I just want to reiterate one thing, that this is an annual review, and it's nothing new. It's just cost versus what is needed to be collected. And the other part of that is we collect the revenue to pay for the maintenance and operation of the lights. We don't do that ourselves. We're basically an in-between person, revenue collector for Southern California Edison, who does all of that. They own the lights, they do the maintenance on the lights, and they install new lights. And that's the end of my presentation.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
Steve, Director Webb here. Why don't we at some point, we always have a challenge trying to make peace when folks get upset about the lighting. Why at some point don't we look to maybe have Edison come out there and explain their dynamic of how this whole lighting game plays itself out? Because each and every time the lighting matter comes up, people think that that's something that we're trying to revenue on. And like you said, we just basically pick up the dollars and pass it to them. So why don't at some point we look to hold a workshop and kind of get all this together and kind of give the community an overall working understanding of all these various dynamics and kind of see where we stand within it and let them know where a lot of these things stand. Because if you think about it, just about everything in our community, someone believes we're responsible for. Yet there are various entities. So why don't we keep that on the burner? And that's something we can work for down the line to get everyone in there and maybe have a community workshop and all these different entities that have things can come out there and do their own presentation, and so it's not up to us trying to explain what's going on with them.
Right, we should be reporting that we're collecting the revenue. They should be reporting why.
That's on them, not on us, but maybe that's something, because there's a lot of parts here moving, so maybe that's something we can work towards perhaps this fall. We get everyone in there and let the community ask them, and then we can say, that's the person that you need to ask, because we are the most visible side of government for the community, and everything comes to us. So that's something we should consider and work on. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Webb. Any other comments from directors or staff? All right, we'll move on to the public testimony. Anyone from the public who wants to speak to this resolution, the lighting district.